What's going on, everybody? Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's your boy Joe JH Overcomes, America's friendliest cop, coming in real quick for you this morning. I won't be before you long. You guys know how I do this. I like to get in and get out. But what I'm going to do today is I want to start opening up for some questions. So while we're waiting for some more people to jump on, just if you have any questions, put them in the chat and we'll go from there. But I wanted to start this morning by saying, first of all, thank you so much for all the support that you've been giving. Thank you so much for everything that you guys have been doing out there. I see a lot of people out there getting after it. I see a lot of people out there making some different changes in their life, which is great. I want to give a special shout out to all of the hospital workers, all of the essential workers, everybody out there who's doing their thing. This world would not be operating without you. So thank you so much. If you know that you're an essential worker and you know you have to go to work, that means I'm talking to you, no matter where you are from A to Z. Okay, so thank you so much. Thank you so much. We've had a couple of stories, as far as people who have been, not doing so well with the coronavirus, people who have not been recovering, people who have not been doing well on ventilators, but there are some good stories out there too. I've been speaking to more and more people about who has recovered, who has been able to fight through this, who has been able to successfully, navigate COVID-19. Now, a lot of these things can be caused by how we take care of ourselves, how we monitor ourselves, how we, Justin, good morning, sir. How are you? How we, I got to talk to you later. Okay, I got to talk to you later, Justin Rambo. Good guy to follow right there if you guys need some motivation, Justin Rambo. If A lot of people out here who are navigating it through certain ways, different ways, and what they're doing is some people are a little bit more healthy when they get started, some people are not. Some people have underlying conditions, some people don't. I've spoken to a few people this week, police officers, friends of mine who have contracted the disease, and they were younger than I. They were a lot younger than I, and no underlying conditions. And what's happening is, I was reading an article the other day, and again, I don't get too much in the medical standpoint of it. And before we get started, just let me say this to you: I am not a medical doctor. I am not a clinical specialist. Anything that I'm telling you right now is something that has worked for me personally. And it also is something that I've either passed on to somebody else or somebody has passed on to me, and it's helped me or it's helped somebody else after me. So just know that whatever you're doing, okay, however you're taking care of yourself, consult with your doctor. There's a whole bunch of different things out there like pulse oximeters and things like that. I hope I'm saying that right. That just shows you my medical knowledge there. But there's certain things that you can do to make sure that you don't take this thing on full steam. You know what I mean? This is what one of the things that we talked about this week, a friend of mine and we talked about how certain people are getting themselves prepared for this. Certain people are getting themselves primed for this. And how do you prime yourself for a situation like this? You make sure you're taking care of yourself. You're getting your cardio together. You're taking your vitamins. You're doing all the things that you can do to prime yourself for this. If I can give maybe a small, when we first went to the police academy, right? There's a lot of things that people do, okay, to get prepared for the police academy. You don't go to the police academy to get prepared for the police academy. First thing, you don't go to boot camp, okay, to get prepared for boot camp. You better be in shape before you get to boot camp. All right. You better be in shape before you go into the military. You better be in shape beforehand. So there's preparation that can help you deal with this if you take the right precautions prior to. Okay. And that could be, taking your vitamins. That could be, making sure you're as healthy as you possibly can be. Right. That can be building up your lungs so they're very, very strong. So that way, if something like this comes on, you're able to fight a little bit better. All right. These are things that are just common sense, people. We've known this for years. A friend of mine, a speaker friend of mine said, listen, I don't know what it is about motivational speakers. We're not telling you anything that you don't already know, right? When you go to that dietitian, when you go to Weight Watchers, they're not telling you anything that you don't already know. Okay. You just need somebody to help you with it. So if you need somebody to help you with this, get an accountability partner, get somebody that can walk through this with you, get somebody that you can talk to on a positive level. I talked to many people, throughout the week, cop friends of mine, And let me say this to you, man. Shout out to my brothers, man. Shout out to my dudes, my road dogs, my right hand men and all that, because I'm getting a lot of love from the men that I know. Okay. And I'm seeing a lot of different things, coming from the men that I know. And I'm not saying that, the ladies are not shouting out on, social media and things like that. The ladies are not doing what they're supposed to be doing, but what they are, and hold on one second here, I just lost, boom. Okay, that should be it. Hold on a second, folks. I'm having a little technical difficulty here. A little technical difficulty. And I'm unable to see certain things here. Okay. Bear with me, people. Bear with me. Bear with me. Okay. All right. If you guys can hear me, just give me a thumbs up real quick. Give me a shout. Let me know who, if you can, if you can't, and then I'll try to adjust this as quick as possible. But I'm just going to keep going until I get it, until I hear something different. And if somebody is out there that has my personal cell, just give me a thumbs up on my personal cell to make sure you guys can hear me. Okay. Um, so what I'm saying to you is that I want to give a shout out to. All right, Melissa, baby, thank you so much. Okay, I want to give a shout out to my brothers out there, because I've been getting so much love from the brothers, and again, it's not that the women, and the females, the women and females, not that the women are not shouting out and giving love and things like that on social media to everybody about how to overcome this and how to help this, but it's historically, women are more active when it comes down to things like that. So I'm going to encourage you, brothers, okay, the men, okay, the guys, the dudes, my guys out there, to step up, man, and start reaching out and start helping one another. And don't be afraid to say, hey, brother, I love you. Don't be afraid to, give some love to each other, man, so we can hold each other up and support ourselves through this. And I just wanted to shout out my dudes real quick, and it makes me feel good to see the brothers stepping up and doing things like that. But when it comes down to it, what are the things that we can do that uh that are uh let's see, some of my dudes with jokes. Okay, I got you, Julian. But anyway, real quick, what I wanted to do today, I want to give you a quick update on how things are going with me. I wanted to give you a quick update on how things are going with some people that I've seen and some people that I've dealt with. And I wanted to give you an update on how you can help overcome your fears. Okay, and that's what today's topic is about. Today's topic is about fears. So we're going to slow it down a little bit today. I'm going to address some comments that we have in the chat. I'm going to address some questions that we have in the chat. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to put it in there. We're going to slow things down just a little bit. Okay, just a little bit. I know you guys got a lot of things to do. No, or not. Okay, so we're not in a hurry this morning. But real quick, I want to say to you right now that we're living in a state of times that we haven't seen before, all of us. Okay, so it's the fear of what? It's the fear of the unknown. Okay, a lot of these things are the fear of the unknown. We don't know what's going to happen. And when I say fears, our fears can be due to financial fears. It can be due to our health fears. It can be due to certain things that we're going through in our personal lives. And I want to say this too. We have to first, let's start being sensitive to each other's fears. Okay. And I'm not saying that you have to baby everything or, coddle everything, but we have to be sensitive to each other's fears, because my fear is not your fear, right? My anxiety is not your anxiety. So I need to respect each and every one of you for your anxiety. You need to respect each and every one of you for the things that you have concerns with, and I don't want to minimize it by saying to you, it's not that important. You know what? It's not important to me, it's important to you. Okay, so the one thing you should start doing in order to help you start getting over your fears is to start understanding that you need to have some concern for other people, not just yourself. Okay, what goes out comes back to you. Okay, so when you start feeling like it's all about me and this thing is all about me, and I don't know how I get it. We're all going through it different ways. And I don't want to minimize your particular fear or concern. So we're living in a time of fear. We're living in the fear of the unknown. Okay, this is all new charted territory for a lot of people. It's new charted territory for the doctors and the nurses and Congress and our presidents and things. And listen, these people need our prayers. The government needs our prayers right now. Okay. The doctors and the nurses and the people who are making these decisions, they need our prayers. They need our help because we can't do anything physically to go there. Right. And that goes back to talking about you can control what you can control in situations. And those are some of the things that you can't control. So why are we so focused on, you know, getting on social media and commenting about what the White House is doing and what the White House is not doing, what the physicians are doing and who's opening up what city and who's opening up what state. I don't have control over who opens up Georgia. Okay. I don't have control over who opens up New Jersey or who opens up, California. Listen, that's beyond me. Okay. And what's going to happen is there are people, okay, in place to answer these questions. There are people in place to address these situations, and it's not you. Okay. And if it is you, then thank God. I'm happy for you. But again, a part of our fear is worrying about what's going on in other states that don't affect you. Part of our fears is worrying about situations that you have no control over. And we need to start to bring that in to start to realize that, listen, I can only control what I can control. And that's what I'm going to focus on right now. I'm going to focus on controlling the things that I can control, which first things first is my health. Because without your health, okay, none of that stuff matters. None of it matters. I remember when I was on, kidney dialysis 20 years ago. I was on kidney dialysis for 5.5 years, which is why, I have the compromised immune system because I got a kidney transplant from my sister 20 years ago. God bless her heart. Um, and, I remember that going back to that time, I realized that I could have been a millionaire at that time. Okay. I could have had all the money in the world, but it wouldn't have mattered if I didn't have my health. And it didn't matter. It really didn't matter because the first thing that I had to focus on was my health. So I'm going to encourage you to start focusing on the things that you can control. And the first thing is your health, because if you get sick, okay, there's a whole lot that goes along with that. Okay. If you get sick, there's a whole lot that goes along with that when it comes down to your family. So taking care of yourself is more than about you. Taking care of your, hey, listen, moms out there, what would happen right now if you got sick? Okay, who's going to run those households? Okay, I know dads, we can pick it up if we have to, but you don't want us running the household, trust me. Those kids will be all over the place and jumping off things that they shouldn't be jumping off and playing all sorts of things in your living room. But thinking about it in that aspect of things, I had to come out of it, as from my selfish standpoint and realize why do I take care of myself the way that I do? Because I want to live a long, healthy life, right? I want to live a life that's going to go into, playing with my grandkids and seeing, my family and building a legacy. And I want to get into understanding that, it's more than just about me. So let's take that back a little bit. And I know that your fears are, the unknown. Your fears are the getting sick. Your fears are, who's going to open up the state and things like that. Your concern should be taking care of yourself so that you can be the best possible person you can be for the future, for your family, for the people that you need to take care of. Right. So that's one thing you could do. Start controlling that. Don't let your fears take over your situations. Don't let your fears control what you're doing each and every day throughout your life. And you realize that, listen, we become what we think about, right? It's just natural chain of life, the way things go, the way the universe and how God has done things, we become what we think about. So if you're thinking about things that are causing you fear each and every day, if you're involving yourself in things that are giving you fear each and every day, eventually you're going to start to live in that action. You're going to start to live in that fashion. So a small example is, people who have been working out all their life. They're focusing on it, right? They are thinking about it all the time. They're thinking about eating, right? So what happens? They become that. They become that individual. They become that. And I've heard people say, listen, it's addicting. I get to the gym and now I want to go and now I want to work out. And again, this is not a video about working out, okay? Because you guys, listen, you see this. This is, I got a long way to go. But, we become what we think about. And when you become that fear, okay, then you start to walk in that fear. Then you start to talk in that fear. Then you start to live in that fear. And then you start to give that fear out to others around you. So You know, don't try not to let your fears control what you do each and every day. Try not to let your fear take over, you know, the way you're living your life. Okay. The one of the biggest things too is, we talk about something else that we can't control. Okay. Where it all started. Did it start in China? Did it start in Africa? When we had Ebola? When the Chinese flu and all this? Listen, can I be honest with you? I don't care where it started. I don't care how it started. I don't care who started it. I just know that I don't want it here. Okay. And I don't want it here. So I have control of that. I don't have control over where it started. I don't have control, and neither do you. Okay. I don't have control of, who, where it originated and who ate what. And, because of that, I'm going to boycott this and I'm going to stop. The milk is spilled, clean it up. Okay, clean it up. That is one of the age-old sayings that we've had throughout our entire life. You can't cry, don't cry over spilled milk. Okay, okay. Have you really broken down that simple phrase? Okay, the milk is already on the floor. It's already on the counter. It's already all over yourself. We can sit there and we can cry about it. We can sit there and moan about it, but crying is not cleaning it up. And it's still going to be there after you finish crying. And it's still going to be all over the floor. And somebody's going to have to clean it up. And most likely it's going to be you. So I don't care how it started. I don't care, who it originated or, who's thinking about it. I just know that I need to do what I need to do to fix the situation. And that goes the same for you. Okay. You can only control what you can control. Okay. Stop worrying about how things got started and let's address the situation at hand and let's fix it together, figure out a way. And that's why I'm here for you today. I'm here to try to help you understand this COVID-19 thing just a little bit more. Just a little bit more. I said at the top of the broadcast that I'm not a doctor, but the one thing I do have with COVID-19 is experience. And I could tell you from experience that every single situation, every single, symptom, I should say, that has been listed, I had them. Every single thing. I had the headaches. I had the loss of taste and loss of smell. I had the difficulty breathing. I had the skin breakouts. Okay, some of you, I'm still recovering from some of it. I've had all the things that go along with it, but I want you to know that I'm speaking to you from experience. I'm not here to preach to you. I'm letting you know the facts that I have experienced myself. So one thing you could do to start to eliminate your fears is go to somebody, read some material, get educated on the way this thing works, the way it happens, certain things that are going along with it. And a lot of times it happened because we weren't taking care of ourselves in the beginning. And I'm not saying all the time, I'm just saying some of the times that's what it's been. It was prior to. Or, I read another article this week, about a friend of mine, good friend of mine, George Beck, shared it with me, who's a very he's a very uh, resourceful person, editor of magazines. So I tend to believe him a lot. And he's got a great heart, that, there's certain things that, we're not seeing. And what happens is by the time we get to the hospital, it's too late. We're ignoring the signs and the symptoms prior to. We're ignoring all the things that come along with it. The stuffy nose. We're just thinking, okay, it's just that, the headache. It's just another day for a headache. Listen, I get it. I don't want you to panic every time you get a headache. Okay, I don't want you to panic when your nose runs. But given the season that we're in, okay, given the times that we're in, you may have to look into it just a little bit more. And how can you do that? What did I start to do when I started to feel the symptoms coming on? I started to take the vitamins. I started to extra vitamins. I started to drink hot fluids because I know, and I had done my research, that the virus doesn't like hot liquids. So what did I do? I kept my cup full. I kept the Yeti full all day long, and I was sipping throughout the day the honey, the lemon, the ginger. Now, listen, if I didn't have the COVID at that time, it wouldn't have hurt me. Okay, it's not something that's going to hurt me. It's only going to make my situation better, and it's only going to prime me to be able to take care of the situation if I get it. So do what you can do, okay, to get informed. Do what you can do to make sure you're following the right resources. Do what you can do to make sure that you're staying as healthy as you possibly can. Now, some of us have to go out the house. I get it. Some of us don't have to go out the house. I get that too. Um, Somebody said something yesterday on the news, and it was I don't watch the news. I was actually fixing my TV when I actually had to turn it on and see if it was working correctly. But somebody said that people are just not going to stay home. Okay, and I have to partially I have to partially agree with them. It is what it is. I don't want to believe that, but there is a certain group of people, okay, who don't want to follow that rule just because. Okay, you're always going to get 10% of people who just want to break the rules. Period. That's why cops have jobs, plenty of job security. There's always going to be a certain percentage of people, okay, who want to do things their way, who want to follow their own rules, who want to march to the beat of their own drum. Okay. Unfortunately, when that happens here, you marching to your own drum is affecting other people. Okay. So it has nothing to do with you personally. Again, this has to do with the people around you. And most people who are sitting out here saying that somebody posted on one of my posts the other day and said, "Listen, it's rhetoric. It's media hype. Don't buy into it because according to we have 7.8 billion people in the world. Whatever the number is, but only 100,000 have died." Okay, let me address that word only. Okay, because I assure you, out of that 100,000, it probably wasn't your wife. It probably wasn't your husband or your grandmother or your son or your daughter. Okay. It probably wasn't somebody in your immediate family. So when we start throwing around things like, only 100,000 people have died, out of the 7.8 billion people in the world. Okay. Okay. That is probably, okay, one of the most difficult statements for me to read because had I been one of that 100,000 who died from COVID-19, okay, my family would be affected, my children would be affected, my and my friends would be affected. So that's probably one of the most insensitive statements that can come out of your mouth when you start throwing out statistics of how many people died opposed to how many people are in the world. It's just not the way to go. So you're always going to have a certain amount of people, a certain percentage of people who just don't get it. Okay, they just don't get it, and they'll leave you scratching your head. Again, I'm not going to waste time, okay, on my social media feed addressing those people every day of my life. Okay, it's only thing it's doing is adding stress to me when I already know that these people exist. Okay, now you can charge that to me being in law enforcement for almost 20 years or all my time and understanding that people are just going to be people. Okay, worry about you, fix your situation, make sure you're healthy enough so that way you're not one of the 100,000. All right, so a couple things that we can do this week. Okay, and I know it's still early in the week. There's a couple things that we can do to make sure that we are doing the best we possibly can to get through this thing without as much fear as that's been going around. Number one, okay, get informed. Okay, be informed by the right people, by the right situations, by reading the right material, and listen. Stop posting things, okay, and you haven't read the article. Okay, read some of those articles that you guys have posted, and you'll see the amount of typos, the grammar, listen. There's a whole bunch of things in here that just says, yeah, this guy is probably not a journalist. Okay, and I'm not saying we don't make mistakes, but you can read some of those articles. So don't just read the headline and then post it. Okay, let's stop doing it. Number two, watch your social media time and watch your corporate media time. Okay, stop spending so much time in front of social media if you're not following certain things. Now, listen, I'm on my phone a lot. I'm on social media a lot, but there's also certain things that you can do while you're on social. There's many, many, many beneficial things on social media for you. There's many things on, on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook that can help you get into those personal groups. I had a friend of mine hit me up this week. He said, "Listen, I'm not getting any comments. People are not, liking any of my stuff." Well, because you're talking about politics to a bunch of people who don't want to hear about politics. Join a politic group, okay, on social media, and you guys can just have at it, okay, have fun, okay. So watch your social media time, watch your corporate media time. Let's see and number three, see this situation as almost as over. Okay, see the situation as over. And what I mean by that is this. A lot of times in my life when I was going through certain things, so whether it was illness, whether it was, financial problems, relationship problems, whatever the case was, I always saw the situation as it is what it is. Now what? Okay, it is what it is. Now what? So let's see the situation at the end. Let's see us passing the finish line, and what are we going to do once we get past that finish line? I remember when I was in the police academy, I hated running. And for those of you who are in the police academy, you know how much I hated running. Okay, I was never one of those people to wake up and just go running 5 miles, 15 miles a week and things like that. But what I would do is when I started running, I would actually picture myself in the shower afterwards. Okay, because that was me. Now, some people might say you got to take one step at a time, things like that. Doesn't work for me. Sorry. I need to see the end process when I'm doing something that I hate. Okay, so that's just what works for me. So, one, get informed. Two, watch your social media. And three, see this situation as over and how you're going to handle the situation when it's there. All right, get up and start moving, guys. Okay, for those of you who have COVID-19, this is a separate part of the message. For those of you who have COVID-19, okay, get up, start moving. It's going to suck. Okay, I know it. Your lungs hurt. Okay, your body hurts. Your back is killing you. You have a headache, but you have to get up and start moving. Okay, people are not dying from coronavirus because of a headache. Okay, people are dying because of the lungs. People are dying because they can't breathe. People are dying because of COVID pneumonia. These are things that are affecting us. And some of the ways to battle pneumonia is, I almost said ammonia. Some of the ways to battle pneumonia is to make sure you're moving, make sure you're getting those lungs, keeping those lungs functioning. If you've been diagnosed with COVID, that means that you have some of the symptoms that are going to get worse if you don't start addressing them. So if you have it, get up, start moving, start increasing your lung capacity. This is something that I had to do, getting up in the morning and start the workout. I was doing 30 seconds on the elliptical, 30. Okay. Now I'm up to 2 minutes. Okay. And I know, again, it's not a lot for some people, but it's a lot when you have COVID-19. Trust me when I tell you. I remember when I was in the hospital, after having kidney transplants and things like that, or for whatever reason I was in, and the nurse would come in the morning and see my room clean. She would come in the morning and she'd see how the garbage was taken out and things like that. And she was, Mr. Hammond, what are you doing? Well, I don't have time to stay in the bed, because the more I stay in the bed, the sicker I'm going to feel and the sicker I'm going to get. And then I'll become, right, what I think about. We talked about that before. So listen, people, we're going to address the feed right now. I'm going to see if we have some questions. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. Thank you so much. Please like and share this video. And listen, today at 12:30 p.m., I'll be over on Instagram, and I'm going to be being interviewed from somebody out in Nigeria, which is pretty cool. Which is pretty cool. They reached out to me to try to, their follower, and they reached out to me to try to see if I wanted to, do an interview, a podcast out in Africa, Nigeria. So stop by IG at 12:30 today, and I'll be live on a podcast addressing some questions and things like that in another country. All right. Let's see who we got here. Glad you're feeling better, Cynthia Brown. Thank you so much, Curtis. Hello, Mr. Hammond. Okay, Mr. Hammond was my father. No, actually, Mr. Hammond wasn't my father. My father left when I was 5. That's another story. Thank you for good. Okay, thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Jonathan, yes, sir. Okay, yes. Read before you post. Shanti, everybody needs tissue. Be nice. Okay. Let's see here. Gustavo, Joe, you're looking strong and healthy. Thank God. What's the roll of toilet paper behind you? Hey, listen, Gustavo, I earned that roll of toilet paper, so it goes on the wall with the rest of my trophies and things like that. I had to, she was tough. She was a tough old lady, but she had to give that one up. All right. Thank you for. Hey, listen, you know what? There was another thing here when I looked at it, and people are saying, Joe, you look good. You sound great. Okay, I must have really sounded horrible. I must have looked terrible. And I started to look back on some of the videos I did before this, and I looked bad. It was terrible. I sounded worse. I sounded terrible. And I can tell right now that I'm getting better and things are starting to feel better. So thank you so much for everybody for reaching out. Gigi, yes, your fear can kill you. Absolutely can kill you. Any questions? Melquam, how are you, sir? Still feel like I have COVID-19. I know I'm negative. I'm so afraid. Okay, that's Diane Hammond, my Aunt Diane. Hey, listen, you know what? That's one thing that I've gotten a lot of information on also. The There have been many people who have tested positive for COVID-19. Okay, then they tested negative for COVID-19, and then they tested positive for COVID-19. Okay, so a friend of mine, I was just speaking to him a little while ago before this broadcast, that his uncle, and I believe I forgot, I think it was, if you guys need to reach out to him, Jonathan. Um, his uncle is one of the ones that tested positive, negative, positive. Okay, so it's leading people to believe that this thing may be lasting a little bit longer than the 4 weeks we talked about. Okay, I know for a fact that right now I'm going into my fourth week, and I'm not 100%. I'm probably at about 90%. But what I'm doing is, because I'm feeling better, that doesn't mean I'm taking it for granted, and that doesn't mean I'm going to do things that are going to affect, or things that are going to jeopardize me getting better. If you start to feel better, okay, don't take the foot off the gas. Okay, if you start to feel better, those of you who have COVID-19, if you're starting to feel better, don't take the foot off the gas. Keep doing what you're supposed to be doing, because again, this is all new to us. Um, this is all uncharted territory for us. So we may think it's only going to last 14 days. Okay, this thing may go longer. Okay, it may go longer than that. And again, that's not fear. I'm just telling you from people who have given me some information on the outside. Thank you for your prayers, Nicole. Thank you so much. Let's see here. Any questions? Any questions? Yeah, Julian, that was your phone call before I saw you. Melissa Baker, memes about gaining weight when it should be taking care of themselves more now because we have time. No excuses now. At home workouts. Yes. Okay. Listen, we don't. There really is no excuse. Okay. There really is no excuse. Um, and we should be taking care of ourselves. But you can go, baby girl, if you got to go. Uh, my daughter's wondering if she can walk past because of the camera. But we really should be taking care of ourselves. We really should be. There's no excuse. And I know we don't all have at-home gyms. We don't all have. I saw some people saying about, well, it's easy for the celebrities to stay home because they have, these big, beautiful homes and at-home gyms. That might be true, but you can't control that. So you are where you are. You got to you got to fix what you can fix in your space. Okay, work out in your space. Do what you got to do. Grab some of those gallon water bottles that you got from the store. Some of you who can't, return those toilet paper rolls, and just lift those up a little bit. Do it, do what you got to do. But there really is no excuse. You should, somehow, some way. One thing I do is, like, you at home people. I'll run the vacuum, hop on the elliptical, uh, go mop the floor, come back, do some curls, do some weights. In between, you can still get things done. You can still get your housework done while you're doing that. Okay, it doesn't take a lot of time, so start taking care of yourself. It's the least you can do. Let's see here. Anybody else? I got to keep putting on my glasses because I'm getting old there. Okay. And that is about it as far as the questions go. Hey, listen, if you guys have any questions, please, okay, don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to ask people. Don't be afraid to reach out to your doctor. Okay, these things are, the resources are there for you. And okay, Jose Lopez, bless you, brother. I tested positive 3 times, no symptoms, and it's all kind of scary. Okay, Jose. Okay, there's another person where who has tested positive, and he is not feeling any symptoms, asymptomatic. Okay, there are people right now walking around with COVID-19, and they don't know it because they don't have the symptoms. And this is where, okay, our hospital people are telling us, stay home. If you don't have to go out, stay home, because what's happening at the hospitals, and a lot of us have never been to the hospital. A lot of us are not taking care of ourselves. I mean, a lot of us have not had to go to the hospital because of COVID-19. But what's happening is our nurses, our doctors, our medical field are being overwhelmed. Okay. If you overwhelm them to the point where they can't function, who's going to take care of you? If our hospital staffs get so busy, get so packed that they get so worn out that they can't take care of us, okay, then what? Okay, we have to see the future. We have to see this thing, and we have to start understanding outside of our own personal matters, outside of our own personal situations. You know, there were times when I remember when I was working the floods, um, and it was a hurricane, and all the gas pumps were screwed up, and telephone poles were down and wires were down, but the cops still had to come to work. Nurses, doctors, all the people, the essential workers, still had to go to work. And what happened was when I was working the gas station, I would give first preference to the doctors and the nurses at the hospital and people of essential status. And some people didn't understand that. And my reasoning was, listen, these are the people who have to get to work. They have to get to the hospital. So that way, if something happens to you, they're there to take care of you. Okay. So for those of you who are not understanding why it's so imperative to take care of the nurses and the doctors and all the essential workers, the grocery store workers, for those of you who are not understanding that, if something happens to them, okay, what are you going to do? How are you going? You're going to fix yourself? Are you going to heal yourself? Okay, so just think a little bit, people. Just think. Things are not being done just because. Okay, again, this is all new. We have to understand this process and get through this process the best way we can, and we have to work together to get it done. So, Jose, listen, man, it is very scary. Okay, it's a scary, scary thing, and I don't want people to think that I wasn't afraid. Okay, yes, Joe Hammond was afraid. I don't want people to think that I wasn't scared when I first got the news, but I just didn't let the fear take over me. So Jose, prayers going out to you, sir. Everybody send Jose your best, their best, and things like that, and help him get through it. And listen, brother, you're not alone. Okay, you are not alone. I know your fears are very, very real. But if you need to, reach out to me personally. Okay. If I can't help you, I promise you I'll point you in the right direction. All right. But just know this, don't let your fears take over you. You can overcome this because I am a witness that you can beat this. And I was scared. Okay. And it was pretty severe for me. So just keep fighting, brother. Just keep doing things you got to do. And I promise you that you too can get through this if you just keep believing and you keep fighting and doing the right things. All right. Reach out to me. All right. Listen, that's it. I got to get ready for my next my next broadcast at around 12:30 over in Nigeria. Okay, and I wanted to let you guys know that, listen, I love you all. Thank you so much for all the support that you've been giving. Remember, don't let your fears take over you. Don't let this thing get out of hand. Start working together. If you need an accountability partner, find somebody that's gonna help, that's gonna hold you accountable. If you need somebody to talk to, reach out to certain groups on social media. Do what you got to do. All right, to make sure you're doing the right things. I'm Joe Hammond. Okay, America's friendliest cop. JH overcomes. I will see you when I see you. All right. Peace. And I mean that sincerely. Peace.